Hello, 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 everybody. It's me, Shannon LaBruyere. I am live and loving it tonight. It is Sunday, October 6th, 2019, and you have joined Sunday Night Live. Jason, I'm glad you're here. You're the first one in the pool, and I am so glad because tonight I'm talking about something that you asked about last week. So I'm glad you're here again. Daniel Spear, welcome. Glad you jumped in. Everybody, if you want to give me a thumbs up or if you want to just write hi in the comments so that I know you're here, I would love it. Margaret, welcome. Thank you for being here. Mary, I'm so glad you found me. You're getting good at this, Mary. You are getting very good. You guys, this is such a privilege and an honor to be able to share with you tonight. And I love the thumbs up. Thank you. Jeffrey Olson, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. You guys, I have had just a fantastic week, and I am looking forward to sharing with you some really, really helpful stuff that's changed my life. Paul, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. My life has been changed when I realized what I'm going to talk with you about tonight. And it is about our thoughts. Lynn, I'm glad you're here. Yes, Lynn from Clausen. I loved sitting next to you at our networking Girl Boss meeting the other day. So thanks for jumping in. I love seeing you here. All right, so before I jump into tonight's content, the stuff that we need to feed our soul and get us prepared to face the week, right? Barbara, I'm glad you're here. Before I get started on that, I just want to remind anybody who doesn't know that we are starting our next Livestream Leadership Mastermind this coming Saturday, October 12th. It is going to be surrounding leading in challenging times. So, whether you see yourself as a leader or not, you'd benefit from being prepared for when challenging times come. And this is a great place to do it. It's a safe place with lots of good information, but even better conversation and transformation. And it's all there for you. If you would like more information about it, just put it in the comments, give me info, and I'll make sure I get it to you. You can also find out more about it on my Thrive in Change page, Shannon LaBruyere, Thrive and Change, and you can hit events and it'll show you all of the masterminds that are coming up, anything else that's going on that you might be interested in. I would love for you to check it out, and if you haven't liked it, give it a thumbs up. I'd be honored. So thank you for that. Second thing, yesterday morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., I did a sample of what a live stream mastermind actually looks like and feels like. It was a little bit loose. It was a Saturday morning. We had some visits from my granddaughter, my dog Ted, and of course Zippy the cat, who just can't resist a good Facebook Live. We know she loves them. It was good stuff, and the conversation was great. So if you're curious about what that mastermind experience would be like if you decided to join up, check out that free one that I did yesterday morning. It's on my timeline, and I shared it to the Thrive and Change page, so you should be able to find it easily. All right, so with no further ado, let's get started. All right, this is a concept that absolutely changed my life, and I believe it's going to change yours as well. And it is this: thoughts are things. Feel free to say that out loud with me if you want. Get it really cemented in here. Thoughts are things. We sometimes fool ourselves into thinking that they're these ethereal, wispy, you can't get a hold of them type of concepts that we have no control over. And that just is not true, because thoughts are things. John Buck, I'm glad you're here. So glad you jumped in. Thoughts are things, and when we realize that thoughts are things, we can start approaching them differently, and we can start considering if we want to keep those things or if we don't. Does that make sense? Our results that we see in our life every day are the manifestations of our thoughts. Our thoughts are what create our actions, and our actions are what bring the results. And we've talked about that before on Sunday Night Live, how important our thoughts are. But what we haven't done is explore, if you're not having good thoughts, what do you do about it? All of us get those thoughts that intrude. A lot of times they come in the middle of the night, right? And they're those thoughts that says, oh my gosh, it's never gonna work. I can't believe it. I'm so stressed. It's awful. Worst is happening. Something about the dark just weighs on us, gets our thoughts, feels like we can't do anything about it, but we can. Those kinds of thoughts, if they're not serving us, we can choose to do something else. We can choose different thoughts because thoughts are things. So when we look at the results in our life and we don't like them, they're not taking us where we know we were designed to go. They're not helping us to live into our purpose, to fulfill that beautiful path that was created just for us, the good works that we were created to jump in, to walk in. If we take a look at those results and they aren't doing what we want in our lives, we have to ask ourselves the question, how can I get the thoughts that are going to bring the results that I know I want in my life? How can I get those thoughts? Jim, I'm glad you're here. Dawn, I'm glad you jumped on. We are talking about thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. So if I'm not seeing the results I want in my life, my first place to look is what am I thinking? What's going on in here? What thoughts am I keeping? What thoughts am I nurturing? What ideas am I feeding? All right, so I cleaned my closet not too long ago, and I had 3 piles. Took everything off the walls. I have a few shelves in there. I've got, the several places where I can hang long dresses and jackets and that kind of stuff. You've seen a closet. So I'm cleaning off my closet, and I have a couple of piles. I've got a pile of things I'm going to keep. These serve me well. I feel good when I wear them. They fit. They're easy to care for. These are clothes that I keep. I don't care how long I've had them. These things are workhorses. I'm keeping them. Women, I know you're hearing me, and some of you guys too. You know you've got that jacket or that shirt that it's your go-to thing. We've got things in our closets that serve us well, and we keep them. And then there's the other pile. We've got the pile of things that we are going to discard. They've got to go. Sometimes it's hard to let go of them. Sometimes it's hard to let go of those things, even though we haven't worn them in 5 or 10 years, even though we love them. We've maybe had them with us all our life, but they don't serve us well. They look terrible. They're worn out. They're not doing for us what we need them to do. So I've got this pile in my closet, the pile of things I'm going to keep because I know they serve me well. And I've got that other pile that it's got to go. Thoughts are like that. We can take a look at our thought life and say, what thoughts are serving me and bringing me the results I want? And we can also say, what thoughts are not serving me well and that are working against me? So the first step in being able to improve our results, being able to live into our purpose, is to be able to look at our thoughts and say, okay, is that actually helping me? Is me getting up every morning and saying, fill in the blank? I'll use one of the things that I used to say to myself a lot. Shannon, if you just lost 5 pounds, your life would be changed. Shannon, if you just lost 5 pounds, fill in the blank. All kinds of wonderful things are going to happen to you, Shannon, if you just lose 5 pounds. And eventually, that thought that I had nurtured for 25 years, every day, kept it, heard myself say it, decided it was worth keeping. At some point, I had to take a look at that and say, is that actually getting me what I need? And it wasn't. And I had to choose to discard it. What thoughts do you continually revisit that it's time to discard? You can make that decision because thoughts are things. Just like old clothes that don't fit, old food that's gone bad in the refrigerator, you can get rid of the thoughts that don't serve you well and that aren't any good anymore. So know that you get to choose to get rid of those thoughts. But here is the thing. How do we do that? That's the key question, right? I don't think I have to work too hard to convince you guys that our thoughts make a difference in how we live our life and the results that we get. I think I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys have heard me say over and over and over and over, where our focus goes, our energy flows, right? So, knowing that we have thoughts that we don't want and choosing to discard them and actually making it happen is the trick. So let's talk about that. How do we make our thoughts the kinds of thoughts that serve our higher purpose, so that we get those positive results that we know we crave, that we were designed to get, that we know that we are going to be able to achieve them without having all of this negative stuff that's sucking it out of us all the time. So how do we do that? I've got a couple of tips for you. But first, a story. Just know, and this goes for all of my Sunday Night Lives and anything that I do on a recorded video or on social media, if it matters, I change the names. I never want any of my clients or the people that I've worked with over time to feel like that I'm putting their dirty laundry out there for other people to see, even if it's a helpful lesson that I think we can all gain something from. So just know, I'm never disclosing anybody's private information without their permission or without switching it up enough so that the principle remains, but that they're not going to ever be in danger of being discovered, if you will. So I keep that confidentiality top priority, even in situations like this. So I'm going to tell you about Dana. Dana was a woman that I was coaching, and she was struggling. She was struggling in every area of her life. She had a very rocky marriage. It was a lot of upheaval, a lot of battling. It was very unhappy. She was miserable in her marriage, but she was trying to make it work. So she every day was like pulling herself up by her bootstraps saying, I'm going to make this work. How many of us have done that, where we just get up and by sheer force of will, we say, you know what, whatever comes my way, I'm going to power through, even if it's hard, even if I'm tired, even if it's miserable. And we do that day after day after day. And I'll be honest with you, that's the opposite of thriving and change, right? That is not thriving. That is slowly dying, getting our life sucked out of us. So my client, Dana, struggling with her marriage, trying to make things work. She hated her job. She was miserable. She spent most of her day in a vehicle. And so she was by herself, trapped with her thoughts and just doing the cycle over and over and over. And I've been there, I bet you have too, where we just cannot get ourselves out of that loop. And so Dana was constantly struggling with this loop. And as we were going through the coaching process, I asked her one key question. Dana, what are you listening to as you're driving around for 6 hours a day? What are you listening to? Are you listening to the radio? What are you doing? She goes, oh yeah, I listen to the radio. So, well, what are you listening to? She goes, well, I listen to this country music station, blah, blah, blah. So, this is what we talked about. Is the message of what you're hearing on that radio station, day in and day out, helping you in your pursuit of having a healthy marriage? Or is it hurting you in that pursuit? And as she thought about that, she admitted, I don't think it's helping. For 6 hours a day, she was listening to music that was telling her how awful it was to be in a relationship. He's been cheating on me. She's been cheating on me. I'm going to go up to the bar and drown all my sorrows all day long. All day long. So I asked, what do you think would happen if instead of listening to the stuff that's sucking you dry, that's feeding, like I said, where our focus goes, our energy flows, what would happen if you changed what you listened to something that was more aligned with where you want to be in life? I don't think you want to be divorced. I don't think you want to be, oh, I'm getting a lot of hearts. I know it's Ann here. I don't think, from what she told me, she didn't want to be in a sad relationship. She didn't want to be on the rocks. She didn't want a divorce. And yet, all of the stuff that she was listening to all day was supporting that. So she made a switch. And so she switched for the next month. She started listening to more positive music all day long. And we touched base after a month. And this is what she said. I can't believe the difference. I can't believe the difference in the way I feel when I get up in the morning, in the way I look at my husband, in the way I'm approaching my job. Can't believe the difference it made to change what I listened to 6 or 8 hours a day from something that was negative to something that was positive. So now you might not be a country music fan, and if you are, I'm not trying to point a finger at it. I'm saying that we all have to look at what we listen to, what we watch, what we read, and we have to ask ourselves the question, is the thought that those things are planting in my head, are the thoughts that that is planting in my head thoughts that serve me well, that bring good results to my life, or are they thoughts that feed frustration, depression, worry, strife? I'll tell you this, I say this from my heart. Believe me when I say that I mean this in love. But if you watch news all the time, you're going to have trouble with your thoughts, because the news media is all about the negative story. They're all about the emergency. They're all about the bad news. We know this, and yet we continually expose ourselves to that constant drip of negative thinking. My mentor John Maxwell said this, and I took it to heart. He said, it's important to be up on current events. And he said to control his thought life so that he doesn't get dragged down in negativity. He said, I follow one news outlet where he goes and he reads it. And he said, it's not biased. It doesn't have a political bent. It lets me know what's happening. He goes, and I check it once a day. If there's a big emergency, I will surely hear it. He said, but it doesn't allow me to do my best work to have the positive results that I know change my world when I'm constantly ingesting the negativity. Does that make sense? Ask yourself, I ask myself, what am I listening to? Is the music that I'm listening to bringing me thoughts that allow me to have good results, or is it something that I have to constantly battle? What about social media? If reading social media is causing you envy and strife, if it's planting thoughts in your head that aren't serving you well, it's time for you to put it in the discard pile. There are things that we can do to control the thoughts that come our way. Bobby, I'm glad you jumped on. And Julie, I'm glad you're here too. Welcome. And Ann, I saw you. If I didn't say hi, mwah. All right, so we're talking about thoughts, and thoughts are things. And those things, those thoughts that we have bring about our results. Hi, Jeffrey, I'm glad you're here. Our thoughts bring about our results. If we want our results to be different, we have to change our thoughts, right? And how do we do that? First of all, we take a look at what do we need to discard, and then we start guarding our thoughts. I love this principle. It's in the Bible, and it's one of my favorites. It says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So important. And we have to guard it. We have to guard it. If we are constantly exposing ourselves to negativity, bad news, strife, argumentative personalities, those things will translate from our thoughts into our results. It will happen 100%. We will battle that. If we're able to force those thoughts to stay away, it will be at the cost of energy that we could be putting somewhere else more productive. Where would you rather have your energy go? Defending all the time, trying to keep all that negative stuff, all those thoughts that are sucking our purpose from our lives? Would we rather have our energy defending against that? Or would we rather be able to say, I'm not even exposed to that, and I'm putting my energy toward the thing I'm trying to build? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. What am I listening to? What am I ingesting on a daily basis? The other question that we have to ask ourselves is this: who am I surrounding myself with? We are a combination of the people that we spend our time with. The people that we spend our time with is who we become. Who are you spending your time with? If we're talking about thoughts and thoughts translating into results, if we're spending our time with people who are killing our dream, who are telling us why we can't succeed, who are constantly negative, gossiping, who have nothing good to say about anything, who pride themselves on being pessimists, they like to call it, I'm a realist, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. When we surround ourselves with people that are not helping us to have thoughts that feed our purpose and our dream, it's time for us to take a look at how we're spending our time. Bottom line, how are we spending our time? Who are we spending it with? Angela, I'm glad you're here. Tony, I'm glad you jumped on. This is awesome. Thank you for being here. We're talking about our thoughts. Our thoughts turn into the results in our life. And when we look at our results, if we don't love what we see, this is where we start. How can I make my thought life align with the good that I want to do in the world? How can I align my thoughts with my purpose? One of them is we have to make sure that we're not putting garbage in so that garbage comes out. If we're listening to music, if we're constantly exposed to negative news, if we are ingesting movies and things that aren't upright, that aren't full of hope, a constant diet of depressing stuff, folks, it's going to turn into depressing results. Promise you. All right. Also, the people that we spend time with. We should always look for people who are ahead of us on the path toward living into their purpose. We should always strive to spend time with people who lift us up, that don't push us down. We get to choose those things. We choose our thoughts, and a way we can help choose our thoughts so that we have better choices of what to keep and what to get rid of, choose the people that we spend time with. If somebody's constantly dragging you down, take a look at that. I had a great conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how somebody likes to gossip. And you may know somebody like this. They think it's so important for you to know every negative thing that anybody has ever said about you. No, that is not good. You do not need to know every negative thing that other people say about you. You don't. I love the hearts too. Thank you. Yes, and hello. This is why. Picture somebody very sincere with a giant oozing bag filled with manure. I want you to get a nice visual of that. It's a paper bag and it's getting kind of damp in places, right? But it's full. It is full to the brim of this smelly, awful, dirty, stinky, oozy manure. And they come up to you and they say, hey, this has your name on it and here it is. Wait a second, are you taking that bag? Are you taking it? Are you taking that oozy bag of manure just because somebody over there wrote your name on it? I don't think so. Don't take other people's gift of gossip just because it had your name on it, okay? I give you permission. Don't listen. Don't even start to listen. When people try to hand you that bag of manure and say, hey, this had your name on it over here, I figured I'd give it to you. No, that's all right. You're the one who chose to pick it up. You'll have to figure out what to do with it. It's important. You don't need that kind of crap in your life. You just don't. And you get to choose not to accept it. If you're surrounded with people who are constantly handing you things that smell and ooze and bring you down and cause negative thoughts to come into your head and you battle them, it's time to look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Does that make sense? A constant stream of negative in to our thoughts creates a thought battle that takes far more energy than what it has to. because we can switch what we ingest, what we read, what we see, and we can choose to listen to things that are going to feed our purpose, that are going to give us hope, that are going to be positive and lift us up, because thoughts are things and we choose them. So, the key to our thought life is keep the ones that serve us, that bring the results we want to see. Discard the ones that we don't want. And here's the tip that makes the difference. Don't just discard the ones that you don't want. And Belinda, I'm glad you're here. Larry, I'm glad you jumped on. Don't just discard the ones that you don't want. Replace them with something good. Our subconscious believes everything it hears. That's why when we're little and we hear negative things, we can be programmed to just live out negative things. It becomes almost like salivating or scratching an itch that we didn't consciously know we had, or breathing. We don't even have to think about it. Our subconscious takes it as truth, gospel, and hey, let's live that out. Let's live it out. If you didn't have the benefit of having an upbringing that fed you good things, positive things, that brought results that you value into your life, you are not stuck with them. You can replace them. You can replace them. Some people call them affirmations. Some people memorize scriptures. Some people just have a little saying that they say to themselves each day that kind of keeps them on track and sets them up for success. I encourage you, take a look at not just the thoughts that you don't want to keep, but you get to choose the thoughts that replace them. And that's powerful. As you discard those thoughts that no longer serve you, that bring the results that you don't want to see, it is just as critical for you to choose the thoughts that will replace them. I am loved. I am a child of God. I am a woman of purpose. I have been created for a reason. I attract resources and people that are going to allow me to expand my impact. I am blessed. I am grateful for, fill in the blank. I am wise. I am appreciated. The work I do has value. These are thoughts that will change the way your subconscious lives your life. And you get to choose them. Choose your thoughts. Choose your affirmations. Say them out loud daily. I am a person who is on time. I am a person who is on track. I am a person with goals. I am a fantastic fill in the blank. I am these things. Replace those negative thoughts, and I don't even want to list. There's a lengthy list. If I asked you guys to put down your negative thoughts, it would never end. There are so many. But I will ask you, what is your positive thought that you're going to replace it with? When that negative thought that intrudes on your mind, Jay, comes in and you see it, what good thought are you going to use to replace it? You get to choose, because thoughts are things. And this is the beautiful thing. When we start choosing the positive thoughts that align with our purpose, that allow us to have good fruit, good results in our lives, when we choose those thoughts, we start acting to make those things come to pass. We start taking action without even consciously thinking. We start acting to bring those things to pass. It is no small thing the way you talk to yourself. That is another key to you controlling your thought life, choosing the right ones, is you choosing the thoughts that are going to serve you well, and you can continue to feed those into your soul every time the negative thought that doesn't serve you comes in, because it will. It will. You'll see less and less of it as you start to choose how you spend your time, the kind of music you listen to, the the types of websites you hang out on. Chuck, I'm glad you're here. Hi, it's good to see you. And Paul, I'm glad this helped you. Very, very glad this helped you. I would love, what do you tell yourself when the negative thought comes at you? Would you share that with us here? I would love to know. I've got a whole list of them. I am strong. When I feel like there's things I can't do, and that voice in my head, that thought pops up and says, you can't do that. You can't be a successful coach. You can't have your own business. Oh, I beg to differ. I choose to discard that thought. I am an entrepreneur. I am a successful entrepreneur. I am a powerful, impactful coach. I am a loving Sema to my grandchildren. I am a faithful, powerful, supportive, loving wife. I am these things. When the voice comes at me that I'm not enough, I've got a replacement thought. What's your replacement thought? I would love to hear it. And we're wrapping up here. We're wrapping up. So we're at 7:31. But if you've got something to say, I would love to see it. How does this land on you? Where do you see in your life that you can make an adjustment so that you don't have to battle the thoughts all the time? That you're creating an environment where the positive thoughts can take root and grow. What are you putting in front of your face? Who are the people you're surrounding yourself with? These are all things that we can choose. What are you choosing? Are you choosing life? Are you choosing life and love and hope? Because it's there. And when we choose those thoughts that align with our purpose, the thing that we were created to do, the good that we were called to do in this world, when we choose those thoughts, we can change the world. Ron says, when negative thoughts arise, I say, look at all you've already done, those you have impacted, and you're going to let this defeat you? Exactly, right? You ask yourself the question, you're going to let this get you down? Ron, I love that. It is powerful to take a look and say, look at what I have done. Look at what I've seen, what I've been able to do. And I'm not going to let this little thing stop me from continuing on that good path. I love that, Ron. Thank you. Anybody else? What do you say to yourself when those doubts start to creep in and the lies start to take root? Nobody loves me. Nobody wants what I have. Those things are so painful. So painful. But we don't have to keep them. We can reject them. We can choose to discard them, replace them with something good. Linda, I'm glad you jumped on. You are just here in the tail end, but I'm so glad you popped in just in time. You can always go back and listen. You guys are awesome. As always, I thank you for your time tonight. I hope and pray that your week is powerful, impactful, and that you thrive, even if your branches aren't blooming. I hope that your roots are being fed, because that's the key. When our roots are fed, we can bring forth fruit, we can flourish, we can thrive, and that's my hope and my prayer for you. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Mwah! Goodbye.